Hi, it's Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky here again with my plans and pans. 1 week ago today, I got a new knee. Things are going great. You can see my crutches. I'm getting around pretty well and really doing everything that the physical therapist is telling me to do and coming along just fine. Just wanted to tell you that. So this was a tumultuous week in a number of ways in the district. A tornado hit, going through Lincolnwood and in Chicago, Rogers Park and Westridge. We didn't hear of any serious injuries, but my heart is with all of you who had any problems, and I know there were a lot of power outages. So this is the season right now. Wanted to, of course, give you a report on the coronavirus. Not good. This week, the world hit a milestone of 20 million cases worldwide, and surpassed 750,000 deaths. And here in the United States, not so good. This week, the nation saw the largest daily death toll since mid-May, 1,486. I can't emphasize enough still that it is up to us if we have everybody wearing masks and doing what they should, and washing hands and social distancing. I have to tell you that on the way home from the hospital last week, go along the lake, beautiful lakefront, beautiful day, and we saw dozens and dozens, hundreds of people out in the park in front of the lake itself. And I didn't see, Bob, my husband, says he saw one person with a mask. I didn't see anybody with a mask. And people were crowding together and playing sports. We're not going to get out of this if we don't do better individually to make this thing go away. I also wanted to tell you that coronavirus negotiations, that is, the bill that would provide relief, are ongoing, but not going so well. What we've seen the president do are some executive orders that it's not clear if they're even legal, some of them. One executive order extended unemployment benefits, what were $600 a week to help people that pretty much ran out of money. The relief was over. And then he said that he was going to bring it down to $400 a week. So he's done administrative efforts that really haven't amounted to much of anything, and not clear because Congress has the power of the purse whether he can actually do it. Just a lot of talk. So the president pretty much admitted. I'm holding today's Chicago Tribune, and it says Trump admits bid to obstruct justice voting. And I have to tell you that we in my congressional office are getting dozens and dozens and dozens, scores of calls about this. People absolutely furious, as you can imagine. But not just, yes, of course, furious at Trump, but they're also not convinced that we who are pushing back are doing enough. Now, I do have to tell you, it was the subject of a conference call with the whole caucus, with Nancy Pelosi there, and talking about all the ways that we are actually trying to, not just trying, but working to push back on the legal end, certainly on the legislative end, on the organizing end of things. Stacey Abrams was on that call. She has been really focusing a lot. That's been her mission on a fair vote. And so we are hoping that with the time left, we still have time, that we're going to make sure that this works. Now, I know that there was a Supreme Court decision yesterday that one state they couldn't stop that state from using vote by mail. So we may even get some support from the Supreme Court. Larry Kudlow, who is the director of the President's National Economic Council, said the White House is not interested in voting rights. You know, they've been telling us how they really feel, the president and his men. And yet this is the most precious and important right that we have in this democracy that makes us a democracy. We are not going to sleep until we get this done. We're going to have a fair election. One of the things you want to do if you vote by mail, vote early. We got a absentee ballot request in the mail, that we could ask for today. And so you don't want to go any later than 10 days before the election if you're voting by mail here in Illinois, for sure, to get it in the mail. Or you can go to a drop box, which we do have in Illinois, or will have, and drop it there. You can vote to an early election site and drop it there. But we want to get it right so that you can also trust the Postal Service. 91% of Americans say that it is the most trustworthy of the agencies of government. There's a lot of love for the Postal Service that goes way back to the founding of our country. We've also heard from people who are having trouble, constituents, maybe you, with your mail service itself. At first, we weren't getting a lot of response from the Postal Service because we call in every single one of those complaints. Now we're starting to hear that some of them are being answered. Some of you are getting calls, most of you, from the Postal Service to discuss your particular situation. So we're not going to give up on that either. We heard from someone in the district who actually hadn't gotten their mail for something like 10 days. That cannot stand. But slowing down the Postal Service is part of the agenda of the Trump administration. They admit it, and we're going to continue until we win to fight back. So August 13th is something that we call Black Women's Equal Pay Day. That means that this is how long the average African American woman had to work in order to catch up with how much the average white male in the United States of America made last year. Think about that. It took 8 months and 13 days for Black women to actually make up what a white man made in 1 year. No, this is not right. And we know that it is terrible for Latinx women and women in general who make 79 cents on the dollar that men make. So this was a breakthrough in power for Black women this week with the announcement that Kamala Harris is going to be on the ticket to be vice president of the United States along with Joe Biden. And she brings a lot of diversity just in her own self to immigrant parents, one from Jamaica and one from India. And then, of course, just all of her amazing experience and power brought to bear. So I think a lot of women feel empowered by this woman being on the presidential ticket. So today, August 14th, is the 85th anniversary of Social Security that has lifted millions and millions and millions of people out of poverty and really serves as an insurance plan. For example, for two of my grandchildren, because when their mom died, they were able to get a check from Social Security that has certainly helped with their education. And so this is one of the great treasures of our country. Never missed a check, never failed to mail out a Social Security check. And remember, it is also inflation adjusted. Maybe not much. I know people want more in the COLA, the cost of living adjustment. But it is one of the few pension plans that actually, in any way, is inflation adjusted. We also know that we need to make some changes because for women in particular who don't really have many pension plans, who don't have a big savings account to fall back on, that monthly payment is really not adequate. So we're going to continue to work to make it better. In the meantime, Donald Trump is going to take money out of the payroll tax for other purposes, and that's the money that goes to Social Security. So we're seeing that actually the President of the United States is endangering Social Security and changing that program as we know it. I want to do, I know I'm nagging you about the census. Please be counted. We're talking about billions of dollars that can come to Illinois and be distributed around the United States. It's also how many representatives we have in Congress, because it all depends on how many people live in our state. We know right now that number is not a good one right now. There's a lot of people who haven't filled in the census. So please do it. And finally, I want to end where I have been for the last several weeks about the bounties that we heard that Russia is paying to the Taliban to kill American soldiers. So we did hear from the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, this week, who said in an interview that he told Russian foreign minister that Russia would pay, quote, an enormous price to pay, unquote, if Russia were offering bounties. Still no word from the president, and I'm not so sure how much just shaking a finger at Russia makes a difference to them, because Russia is also busily engaged, even as we speak right now, in affecting the next election on behalf of Donald Trump. So that's it for today. Plans and plans for this week, and I'll be back with you next week. Thanks. Thank you for watching my video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, where my handle is @Jan Schakowsky.